Welcome back to episode 2. We're going to be drawing some rocks. Now, these rocks might seem like they're pretty intensive. This rock, this piece, what I mean by rocks is the rock texture. Sorry. The rock texture will take you all of 5 minutes. Why is the rock texture on the outside of the tiles? This is more of a cinematic choice. There's been a few movies where the camera has gone through simulated solid objects to view the drama that's going on inside a room. That's kind of what I was going for, but it had unintended side effects when I tried it out. Yeah, I think we're good.
So this time, it's going to be smooth, royalty-free blues. What are we working with? Alright, so this is basically the texture you're going to get. And you can use it on your dungeon pieces, or you can make monolithic rock formations. So that's a weird jungle rock or something. I don't know. It's going in the bin. Hobby knife, a couple of wire brushes, Modge Podge or PVA glue, black paint, sand, and bits of bobs of certain small rocks. That's what you need. Alright. So you take your first piece, and we're going to start carving some stylized fault lines. And the way I'm doing this is I'm not using the blade of my hobby knife, or the edge of my hobby knife, I'm using the flat of it to kind of gouge out crevices in the rock. And these are the stylized fault lines. I kind of give them a viney look, but you can make them look however you want. We're going to get a close-up here soon. Alright, there you go. It's all in the wrist. See? Flat of the blade. It's very easy to work with. Once you've done the bottom, I carry up those fault lines into the sides. If there's any obvious joins between two pieces of foam, I throw a fault line in there. I just keep working it around. Okay, that's enough. Or not. I'm putting at least one fault line on each side, just for visual interest purposes, but I don't think an abundance of them looks good. So I'm basically just sticking to that. Alright, now I'm taking a crappy box cutter essentially, and at a 70-degree angle away from me, I'm going to start just making an absurd amount of little lines. I'm not putting any pressure on it, I'm just letting it score the top. Line after line after line. I'm not being careful about it. This is time-lapse, but not that much. Okay, there you go. Trying to figure out lighting to show you, but I seem to be failing. Okay, then once you've made one series of cuts 70 degrees away from you, rotate it, and in a perpendicular fashion from the initial lines, make another batch of lines that intersect it. So you'll have basically this big X pattern. Okay, X pattern, and then horizontally and vertically I just put in more lines to break up the X's, coming in from one side, switching it around, coming in from another, and then do the exact same thing on all the sides, starting with the X and throwing in some randomness. And as you can see, it's starting to get really chewed up. You want that. I wish I could actually work this fast. Getting in around the doors, on the sides, just to give texture to the top. And that's what you'll get. Now you could be done here if you want a cleaner look, but I don't think we want a cleaner look, do we? So I take the war brush, bought at Walmart for like less than $2, and I start by coming along the top. And again, see, wrist. It's all about it, really. And I'm almost beveling the edges, making them slope off into the walls section. So this does a couple of things. It randomizes the texture, gives it variation, and also puts in a ton of tiny little strata lines, which is cool. And then, when using the same direction, I come in on the bottom and start doing that. If I get areas that are too flat and uniform, I'll gouge it out with some fingernails. And then I come in with a smaller wire brush just to clean it up a little bit and assert those strata lines, making sure they're very visible. Moving on, do that to all your pieces, or all your rocks, or whatever you're making with this. A little more care should be given to these small wall pieces, but they'll be strong enough. Okay, you're gonna have a huge mess after this. Clean up your workspace. Then, for the texture and grit on the dungeon surface, I like dirty, rubbly, gritty dungeons. I'm coming in with Aleene's Tacky Glue, which is basically PVA glue without a bunch of water, spreading it around with a brush, and then adding grit, rocks, sand, and I'm going to let that dry. And I'm using Tacky Glue as opposed to PVA glue because it doesn't have the abundance of water in it, so it dries faster, and it's instantly sticky. Hence the name Tacky. Put as much as you want. There isn't a uniformity in my dungeon because some rooms are occupied and therefore cleaner, and some ones are abandoned. Alright, once that's dried, I'm going to make a sealing mixture. So I'm going to take some Modge Podge, add it to some black paint, and mix that around. Now, if you watch crafting videos on YouTube, you've probably seen this done on Blackmagic Craft. Before then I used PVA glue, but Modge Podge is so much better, so credit to that channel. You should subscribe because there's a lot of great stuff. Alright, so getting the black Modge Podge mixture, and honestly you can use PVA glue. It works marginally the same way. I start by stippling it over my grit, so it's the first thing I really want to seal in place. Now I mix black paint in it, obviously, so I don't have to come back and apply a bunch of undercoats to reach an opacity over the blue foam. And one of the big reasons why I'm using blue foam is because the pink foam you'd have to cover completely. But if you add black paint over the blue foam, even if you don't reach full opacity with it, it'll still desaturate the blue color, making it kind of gray. So I only need like 1 or 1.5 coats of black paint. And the black paint's already in the Modge Podge, so it actually does save a lot of time. I'd also recommend not doing too heavy of a coat with this mixture because it will end up obscuring details. As you can see, I'm occasionally dipping my brush in water before dipping it into the glue mixture, just so it will run into those recesses in the rock texture, and so it won't be as thick, honestly. So I'd also recommend, as you apply it, stippling it so it's not a completely flat surface, just in case you have too much Modge Podge on. You don't want to obscure your rock texture, especially on the brick sections. And once this dries, these things will be so hard, you don't need to worry about them breaking. You can store them, take them to clubs, do anything. And once they're dried, they'll be almost playable. Stay tuned next episode for the paint job. That's really all you need to know about this. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, but only if you want to. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. Good luck.